All right, everybody, it's 5:30, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Keaton Jones. I'm the manager of officiating technology here at the OHSAA. Let's go ahead and share the screen here. There we go. Walking around the room are my teammates, Charles Anderson, manager of officiating, and Amanda Harding, manager of officiating administration. Also here with me is the Dragonfly team. Brandon Wallace is going to introduce himself and his team here in a couple minutes. Couple housekeeping rules. This is an informal meeting. If you guys have questions, don't wait till the end. If it's relevant to what we're talking about right then and there, raise your hand. We'll call on you. Same thing with the people attending online. We'll have somebody monitoring the Q&A portion of this. And we'll make sure to answer any questions that you guys have. One other housekeeping note, for those that were here yesterday, either in person or virtually, I ask that you refrain from asking any secretary specific questions. Okay, this is a training for assigners and athletic directors, and a little bit of an update of what has happened, what has been updated in Dragonfly since the last time that they've been over here. So without further ado, I'm going to give it over to Brandon Wallace, and we're going to have some fun.
For those of you that were here last night, as Keaton just mentioned, thank you again for coming back. I feel bad for you to have to come and listen to me again, but appreciative that you are here. As Keaton mentioned, the most important thing today is being informal. Interrupt me, ask questions as we go along. Make sure you get your questions answered. Before we get started, I'm going to show you how to get more help and things like that coming out of the day if you are brand new. I know there's several familiar faces in the room that are not brand new, so you might have some very detailed specific questions. But before I get started, some folks that you might get to work with, have the pleasure of working with, that I certainly have, enjoy working with. To the far left is Jeff Seegers. So he has, we'll give a little bit of everyone's background here. So you will certainly work with Jeff throughout, your time and tenure here. So Jeff actually just came to us. He retired from the Alabama High School Athletic Association. He was a sport administrator there for the last few years. Prior to that, you were an AD for how many years?
AD for 5.
Yeah, five years. So
An AD for about.
I know everything's bigger in Ohio. It's kind of like Texas. Everything's bigger here, but basically the largest school in Alabama for to give some form of reference. So he was over that district, and Eamon as well. He's worked in. Some of you may have worked with him. He's worked in some other technology spaces throughout athletics, and came to us 3 months ago now. And unlike myself and Jeff, we are Alabama natives. Eamon is an Ohio native, so he'll understand kind of the geographical references and the teams and their rivalries and those types of things here in Ohio a little better than we will. And Eamon, if you got anything you want to say about?
No, it's up in Cleveland, so glad to be working with you guys.
Yeah, you got a local product here, so we learned very quickly what we don't know about Ohio and what we need to know, and he's helped fill in some gaps for us. So we are thankful for these guys. So we'll give contact information, but basically it's going to be our names at dragonflyathletics.com. So Jeff at dragonflyathletics.com, Eamon at dragonflyathletics.com, Brandon at dragonflyathletics.com. I'm going to show you several other tools and places you can go coming out of tonight to get help. Again, many of you I don't think are exactly brand new, or at least you have some familiarity with this. Before I get started, are there athletic directors in the room? Perfect. All right. So I needed to kind of get a gauge. And of course, we've got some in the online audience. So of course, send your questions through Keaton. He's going to relay. I will try to repeat any questions that are asked here so the folks at home can hear them clearly. And of course, Keaton will relay to me the questions that he gets from the folks online, and I will read them out loud so that everybody gets to hear those. But again, I'm going to do my best to shoehorn both athletic director and assigner information into the same place. Kind of fitting because it'll all kind of run from the game schedule. But feel free to ask questions, obviously, from your particular perspective as an athletic director and or an assigner as we go through. Because if you're thinking it, somebody else probably is as well. We want to make sure we cover it. And not knowing where everyone stands in their knowledge base and where you're beginning from, just assume that nobody knows anything. jump in and interrupt me as you need to. And I'll go ahead and get started here. So if you're brand new to Dragonfly and this is the first time you've ever heard anything, the place that you should start is dragonflymax.com. This is our main website. This is where you'll come to log in, and many other resources here that we can discuss at another time. But what I want to draw your attention to is when you need support or help from Dragonfly Athletics, what resources do you have? At dragonflymax.com, under this support tab, these are a few of the options that you have. We'll go to what I think is the most effective place in just a second once we get into you're kind of logged into the software. But I'm going to go right down this list, help articles. For those of you that were here last night, again, I'm sorry that you have to hear this again, but we got some more relevant articles here. Let's say you need help with setting up your custom positions as an assigner, or for as an athletic director, you want to set up your game worker positions as default so that you don't have to do that each time or go add those in. You can go to that support and the help articles, and then you can keyword search. Hey, I don't really exactly know what I'm asking, but hey, is there a way to set default positions? So typing in just positions, you'll see you get returns of everything that every article that includes the word positions. And you'll have, kind of the title here. So if you type position, how do I use positions in Dragonflies? How do I bulk remove? How do I bulk add or manage the worker position? And then you start getting into auto assignments and those types of things. But the point being in this help article search, type in kind of what you think you're looking for, and you're going to get a return back to you that looks something like this. There will be articles that will have, kind of some videos that are attached to them, some screenshots with step-by-step instructions. I know several of you, the ones that are here last night, the ones that are also assigners. Use these articles when you're, if you've got a particular pain point within your assigner group. If your folks at the school, your coaches, as we continue to move them in and onto the platform as an athletic director, if your coaches are unsure or don't remember how they go and rate their officials, things like that, come and keyword search here, provide this resource, because you can copy and paste this link of how to use positions or how to, whatever it is. Copy and paste this link, send it to your, whoever's needing some help, and then they can pull this up and walk through, again, the step-by-step instructions of how to utilize this particular feature, so on and so forth. Questions on the Help Center keyword articles before I move on? Okay. Moving to the next resource, Dragonfly Academy. Again, I was talking with a couple of you about this prior to the meeting getting started. Dragonfly Academy is somewhat similar to those help articles and the keywords in that we're going to attach a lot of the same articles to the Dragonfly Academy. However, where it's different is this is kind of recorded in a step-by-step. So again, you go through, hey, what am I doing? I'm school staff. I'm an athletic director. And so from here, it walks you through, all right, how do I sign up? How do I get my coaches to sign up? And this will show you, again, the resources for creating an account, connecting to your school. You can go to the next module, which will see how to set up your school, how to set up your teams. So again, this is more of kind of a prescribed step-by-step walkthrough. If you're brand new, again, as an athletic director, this might be a place for you to start, because how to create your account, how to set up your school, how to connect to multiple schools if you're an athletic director of multiple campuses. There are also the resources as an official or as an assigner. So again, if you're here coming from the perspective of an official or an assigner of officials, come here. You've got the registration information. You've got folks that are struggling with registration. Send out these instructions to them. At the bottom, there is the Assignors and Staff Academy. So again, it walks you through. We'll go straight to how do I assign officials to games. This has the print instructions, which is kind of like the keyword search, but it also has the videos. So if you will learn better with playing a video, this will just pull up YouTube and walk you through with some voiceover instructions if you need. So I would recommend, if you're here as an athletic director and or an assigner, take these videos, these step-by-step instructions, provide them to your officials, provide them to your coaches, whatever parts of the system you think you might be using, go ahead and kind of get in front of some of these education issues and let them walk through the step-by-step training videos and articles. Questions there?
All right. What I think is the most effective tool in your toolkit as far as getting support and help from Dragonfly, scheduling a web meeting. And I go ahead and broach this subject because there's typically some discussion around it. We do not offer live 24/7 phone support. We have in the past. Again, for those of you that have been with us, you know that. If you've been with us for a long time, you may also be unhappy about that. I'll spare the full explanation that I gave to the group last time, unless you just really want it, but we don't offer just on-demand, call me anytime phone support. It is inefficient. You can't plan around it. So what we do instead, it's not that we don't offer live support, but just like going to your calendar, we ask that you come to our calendar and say, all right, let's find a mutually agreed upon time that we can get together and discuss. So again, for the assigners, we wanted to find one for Friday. Well, that you've got options left. So you go and click your user role. What type of web meeting would you like? Select your time. And then that connects you with myself, with Eamon, with Jeff, with someone from our support staff, another one of the account managers. That is a live demonstration. For those of you that are watching online, it will be exactly like what is happening for those that are online tonight. We will share our screens. You can share your screens. You ask your specific questions. And quite frankly, as I said, we just found this to be far more efficient than someone on the other end of the line going, I don't see that. Do you see this? I don't, and then, you're just like, sir, I can't see your screen. I can't help you with that. So we just found this to be more efficient as far as smoothing out the demand curves in that. And again, it allows you to come in as often, as frequently as you want to around your schedule, schedule time with us, share screens, and kind of talk back and forth. So before I just breeze right past the support, like again, a lot of times that's a hot button issue, but maybe you guys have already heard our spiel on that and you don't care as much. But any questions on the support, the live web meetings, why we don't offer phone support or anything like that? Just want to make sure that you guys don't think I'm shying away from it. Go ahead.
How late are meetings available?
So we are open 8 to 5 Central Time every single day. As you'll have, during that time. That does not mean that you can't get help outside of that. Again, I want to reiterate, well, especially as an assigner, typically it doesn't happen as often as an athletic director, but as an assigner, a lot of times you guys are working at 11 p.m. because you got a normal job, or you got to wait until all the games are finished from the night before to see who, whatever the case might be. If you've got an emergency, you've got ways to get to us. So it's not the only time, but as far as when we offer these times to sign up, 8 to 5 Central Time, Monday through Friday. All right. Now, continuing this theme of, so don't forget dragonflymax.com, the support section, help articles, Dragonfly Academy, schedule a web meeting. Now, what I think is the easiest way, and Amanda, if you've got anything to say on this, I heard you kind of talking earlier with Eamon. If you need help, start here. This red chat button in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, you can send a message. This will start your chat. I guess we need to take our Memorial Day office message off of there. Start your chat here, same business hours, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Now, typically, we've got someone that's monitoring after hours and on the weekends. Now, that doesn't mean that you get immediate responses, but if you got something that you need on nights and weekends, somebody is scanning through every couple of hours to check on this. But what I want to draw your attention to, this is a live chat with a member of our support team, but you'll notice this also directs you back to the Help Center articles and the keyword search that we were talking about just a second ago, so that we can come back in. And this is where I was going to say, man, if you got anything to say on it. Well, now I can, while I'm on my screen here, can roll through and I'm kind of looking at getting my instructions from that keyword search on the same screen. So you don't have to say anything, but I just heard you mention a second ago.
Matt's wondering why that red chat button's not always available. He said right now it's not available on his screen.
Permission, it's permissions based. So just tell him to send
The
a,
mic.
the question was, why is the red chat button not always available? It's permissions based, so not everybody gets it. Admins, assigners, obviously association staff
Matt's in this.
get it. Yeah, so I need to, without investigation, so any of your specific, why does this thing not look the same for me as it does for you? I don't know the answer to that without investigation. So please email Brandon, Eamon, Jeff at dragonflyathletics.com or send an email to support@dragonflyathletics.com or all of the above. And we'll have to look, but it's going to be something to do with the permissions on your account, Matt. Or anyone that might, encounter that same situation. Yes, sir. Okay. Are you logged into the software? I guess. Yeah, might be. I'll take a look and zoom in a second ago. Got it? Okay. That is, so back to the help center chat here. That is what I think is the most effective way, again, because you can start a chat, you can schedule a demo or, the webinar that we just talked about. You can keyword search for anything. And as Amanda pointed out, you can keep the instructions on the screen that you're working in there as well. So before I dive into the software itself, questions about where do I go to get additional support?
And for my people virtually, we just put in the chat Brandon, Jeff, Eamon, and their supports emails, and it'll be pinned on the chat for the entire meeting.
All right. Let me, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yes, sir. Are you waiting on approval in your school right now? It's as soon as they can get in and.
Jalen Weston,
What school?
Chip Columbus.
Yep, Columbus.
KIPP? Yes, sir.
Because we will get bogged down. It's not OHSAA relevant to everyone in the room, but it is a part of our software. So athletic directors in the room, we have an entire suite of digital eligibility tracking, coach certification tracking, just to kind of show you really quick. And actually, again, Jeff in his previous live helped us kind of build out some of these as an athletic director. But if you care, come and see me afterwards. It'll give you a grid, it'll allow your parents to go and fill out all your pre-participation paperwork. All the OHSAA paperwork is there. It'll tell you who's done it, who hasn't, per team, per sport, who's eligible, who's not. You can create your own custom forms. Connects to the NFHS Learn Center for coach certification, pulling in their certifications. Again, just a part of the full suite that I'm not going to go into detail here today, but go ahead.
This might be premature, but with the OHSAA and their relationship with Final Forms, how does Final Forms, do they have a relationship with Dragonfly, and what does that look like?
I'll let OHSAA answer any way they want to. I'll answer from the Dragonfly perspective, and I want to make sure that I say this is from the Dragonfly perspective. We are friendly with Final Forms. We are doing some things working together for the OHSAA on them. There's some integration points there. When it comes to digital tracking of your eligibility in the paperwork, we're competitors. And, don't know how else to say it. Besides that, if OHSAA needs to slap my hand on that, then go ahead. But, that's basically it. We do what Final Forms does from an eligibility tracking standpoint. I'll stop short of making it commercial. It's available to you because we're contracted with them in the National Federation. It's available to you as a member benefit through us that you don't have to pay for. So that's
So you would be doing whatever you utilize Final Forms for when it comes to eligibility with Dragonfly, would be doing the same work twice, essentially.
if there's anything that you're doing through Final Forms for OHSAA that is Final Form specific, we're not going to jump into the middle of that, and that will not change. You won't do it in Dragonfly for one thing or in Final Forms. So anything is required through Final Forms to OHSAA, that doesn't change. If you want to utilize any of the stuff that is available through Dragonfly, you can. And beyond that, I'm not going to belabor this point. any further. If anybody does have questions, email us. We'd love to jump on a call with you. I can show my screen and share, further into that particular discussion outside of, trying to cover all these bases today. So, beyond that, I will go very quickly into the organizations and people. I guess this will allow me to show a little bit more about what I was just talking about. So I'll go through this officials association just to show you generally when we're talking about your eligibility from an assigner group managing your roster or from an athletic director. Obviously, this is officiating specific, but pretend this says pre-participation, physical, and health history and all that from an athletic director. You got a grid. Here's your roster, alphabetical order. Have you done everything? Is it missing? You have a checkbox for what's done. Obviously, it's blank. If you haven't, you can review it from here. Assigners, again, the secretaries that were here last night, we covered this. You can go in and see your officials and see who has not renewed, who hasn't completed, their state clinic, who hasn't completed a physical or turned it. If you got eligibility requirements or certification requirements, you can see that here. And then you can just toggle through your different sports. If you want to switch from athletes to coaches to any of your staff members, and it'll just update this grid to show you here's athlete eligibility, here's coach certification, here's my officials eligibility certification. This is the way for you to manage your roster, see who's done their eligibility. As we talked about last night, if you'd like to message, basically whoever's on the screen, hit the envelope. And then you can either send it to all officials, what you have on the screen, or you can make changes and edits. This goes as a mass communication and email out to everyone in this list and a push alert to the mobile app. Yes, Ron.
Go into the signers profile versus the association. Just because it's two different views.
Which one?
You go to volleyball.
Anything particular?
No, I just want to see if it's the view from the officials, from the signing position versus a secretary's position, since we're.
Got it. It shouldn't be, other than as a secretary, obviously you're going to see the statewide rules meetings, local meetings, that sort of thing, and have the ability to sign off on those. But the view itself looks and is toggled the same between sports or between.
Ready, can you get real quick on the information icon? You got a question?
Yeah.
What that's.
I forgot that last night too. So beside each individual in your roster, you'll see this information, and not just we're going to go to the game schedule in just a second. You're going to see from there, especially for the assigners in the room, you've got an information basically where you can see anyone's name. There's an information button beside it that you can click on it and get the details. And I'm sorry to Kevin Bailey if you don't want your information blasted out there. Ron, please apologize to him for me on my behalf. But it'll give you their location, their phone number, their email address. So if you need to get, kind of quick update on a particular individual, or if you want to copy Kevin's information here and send him an email. So you got that information tab. Now, as an assigner, you're also going to have the game counts. Clicking on any of the actual contest in this game counts will take you to that contest in the game schedule. But you can see, again, by scanning through this, what's been assigned, what's been paid, what position they're in. You can see how many times they've called at any particular level or any particular school. You got their total across all levels, all schools. Again, you can view this information by facility, go further into basically every single one of their contests, every school, every facility. And you get a quick game counts update here and can change this view from right in here. You can go sports specific from here if you don't want all of the sports in there. If you just wanted a particular sport, boys, girls, basketball, so on and so forth. The next tab over from game counts is blocks. Again, so you just got a quick view of, what's Kevin blocking and why and when, and, when is he available, when is he unavailable. Again, this is going to be available from the game schedule, and I'm going to show you where you can run full reports around availability to get a full grid view of all of your officials, all the blocks, all the availability, so on and so forth. Did that, Keaton, cover what you wanted me to cover on the information? Okay. Other questions on that information tab?
That they wanted to be added to my group. Problem that I was having is that people were going into their account, they could not add their profile to my group. For, in this case, Central Ohio Ice Hockey. So then in order for me to get them assigned, I had to go outside of my group, find them in the entire state list, and then assign them. So is there a way as an assigner that I can go grab people and add them to my group?
No.
They have to initiate that?
They do. And then now I would like for you to define for me can't. Is that they don't know how to do it? Because there's a way to do it. So I would encourage you.
Find an example this year.
Well, I don't need but what I want to make sure is that you're not running into a bug there. Because, hey, we did it all exactly the way you told us to, and you told us to go away is a Dragonfly problem.
Okay.
Any sort of, I can't figure this out, send them to us. Again, that's why we have a support team, assigners, athletic directors, secretaries, OHSAA staff. You are not expected to run support for Dragonfly athletics. We have our own support team. Send them to us. Let us help them get connected to. Yep.
Be eligible in my district, I will see them. Yes. So.
Not quite sure I follow. Is your assigner group for your district, for your? Uh-huh.
My group right now, some of the Southwest districts. Northeast, I've got people from the Northwest, so I've got people from all over the state
Mhm.
that have requested access into my Central
Right.
Ohio hockey officials, so even though they're not part of our local association, I can still see and access them.
Do you want them there or do you want them out of your group?
I'll be back to you.
Okay. So let me, two things to answer your question. And by the way, I don't mind the entire meeting tonight going off of show me this, show me that, if we need to do that. Now,
Can you go back to the assigner screen and explain the filters that people need to go edit it to see like people, officials, eligibility, official eligibility?
so
There's a couple people on here that haven't been able to see the same screen that we were just on with Ron's group.
okay. So the first thing is if you are expecting to see, if you're an athletic director and if you're expecting to see a full roster of people here and you are not, number one, check these filters across the top. You might have, and I've answered from the secretary's meeting last night, I've answered this probably 12 times today. Hey, my roster's not here, but you're in an officiating group filtered to athletes, looking for athletes, and and that's well, you're not going to have anybody there. So first check to be sure that if you're looking for officials, that you're filtered to officials. Now, changing this eligibility column across the top, if you're wanting to see, you got your officials on the screen, but then you're wanting to be able to see their statewide eligibility. Well, make sure, again, that even if I have my officials on the screen, but I'm asking the system to return back to me athlete eligibility for my officials, again, that doesn't mean anything because officials are not going to do athlete eligibility. So make sure that you're matching across the top the academic year, the sport, the people, and then, of course, the eligibility view for which you would like to look at. So now I've got it set for academic year 2025, all sports, officials, official eligibility. So now that matches and I've got my roster here. Now, if you'd like to remove people from your group, now let me answer that. For a change that we made from last year, this was a request that came from Keaton around turn of the semester, maybe. we went and changed all assigner groups to no longer allow just anyone to just join your group. It's now request only. So these, whoever got there from last year before we made that change, again, I think maybe it was the spring, can't remember exactly when it was. What you need to know as an assigner now is people cannot just pick your group and join just from anywhere in the state. They can pick to try to join your group, and then you as an assigner have to approve them in. Now, okay.
People.
Yep. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going right now. So to approve someone in once they've requested, or to kick them out after they've gotten in there and you don't want them in. So let's look at Ernest here. Click on Ernest to go into Ernest's profile. Now, beside Ernest's name, I'm not going to do this because Ernest is a good man. He deserves to be here, but go remove Ernest from the group that you're in. I have access to everything in Ohio. That's why you see all of these different groups here. You'll only see the ones obviously that you have access to. Let me repeat that. When you've got requests to come in, or when you need to remove someone that's there that you want to kick out from your roster view, click on their name, or if you notice there's a search button at the very top. So if I know particular I'm looking for Olivia Clay, I can type Clay, click on Olivia's name, and then go click that 3 dots, that actions button, and remove Olivia.
They get notified they've been removed?
No. Do you want them to be notified? I guess I need to clarify on, are you?
Just remove signing group.
It does. Yeah.
You can also go in and do it just today.
You won't be able to do that. Unless you've got permissions as an OHSAA assigner, you won't be able to do that. You can just see that they're a part of it.
Yes.
Yeah, you got it, because they're a member. That tells you when you go to that profile that they have a membership inside the OHSAA. You can't actually. Yeah. I'm not going to argue. You can't do it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So when you did that under the OHSAA group. What you're telling us is that needs to be done under whatever group you don't want. them
Yeah,
in.
and you only have permissions to remove anyone from an organization that you're an admin in anyway. So.
But the 3 dots appear on every one of
They
the
do.
groups.
Yep. Acknowledged.
Is there a maximum number of assigners they can attach to?
No.
Okay.
I don't think there should be, right? Keaton, from your.
Correct.
Yeah. Some states do have a maximum number. As far as I understand, Ohio does not have a maximum number of assigner groups.
Do you go in and focus on the opposite end of what it looks like when somebody wants to join your assigning group?
Yeah, so from an individual's perspective, if you need to revisit, like an official, if you need to revisit, your registration from your Today page, you can go to complete your registration. Again, that you'll land here every single time you log in. Go to complete your registration. The bottom left-hand side, you can also click on your name, go to My Info, which takes you to your profile. Either way, clicking either of those buttons takes you right back here, and then they can connect to an additional school or association in the top right-hand corner, or they can go to their own profile, click the actions button, and add an assigner group for any of the sports that they're a part of.
And then what does it look like for the assigner that needs to go in and approve somebody
Gotcha.
or deny them?
I did this last night. I'm not sure we got anybody that's waiting on. Yeah. Well, let me see if I got. Gonna look on beta.
Tab, nothing is showing up.
Say that again?
You go to all your groups. Yeah, did all my groups.
I'll find an org that has a request in just a second. You got one? There it is. All right. New people will show up like this in yellow when they have requested. Here's Megan Alexander. Once they request to be a part of your assigner group, you click on their name and you can either approve or delete them from here. Go ahead.
So I noticed that before I approve, they still show up in my group.
They show up as yellow at the top, meaning that you need to make an action there. You either have to approve them or delete them. That doesn't really count them in your assigning group until you approve.
So my experience was, just for example, Megan Alexander, who you had highlighted.
Right.
I went to look at one of my games to assign, and an official was there for me to assign that official, even though I had not approved her to be in my group yet.
Okay. I don't
It's school, it does.
don't want that. Do want that because I can make it.
I'm just asking.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't exactly know. We can make a change to that if we need to. What's the preferred method? Do you want to see them until you take action on them, or do you not want to see them until you take
No,
action on
I'm
them?
fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm personally fine.
Okay. I don't. So I'd have to go and talk with the engineers on what did you intend here, but I can make a case for having them show up. So that way, if you get, like, if you're a brand new assigner, the way it's set up right now, those that have a new assigner group, if you're in a large one, you're going to have to go in and approve 200, 300, 400 officials. You may just want to say, no, give me the list of folks and I'll assign who I want to rather than, so if that changes, Ron, let me know. Again, I think we just went through the communication.
Can I say something?
Yep.
Again, so you guys, if you have somebody looking to join your assigning group, they will appear at the top of your page when you go to your organizations and people tab. You'll know that they're awaiting either approval or denial because they're going to be and shaded in a little bit of a yellow like Megan was on that screen. But you will be able to access that right on your organizations and people tab at the top of your screen.
But when I go in there and it says new people, I click on it and it says there's nobody in the list. Yes,
Do you-
it says
Can you repeat
new
that?
people too.
The question is, got new people over here. The first thing I would say is are your filters set? Again, go ahead and set the filters to make sure, because you're not going to have athletes
Yes. there's
requests. Okay. Secondly, is this, if it's still doing that, it's a bug and it won't be the last one that you encounter. So. And you have all officials and new set right here?
Yeah, it's on there.
Okay.
Yes.
Then it's a bug. It's a bug. Report that to us or support and we'll get it fixed. Got it? Okay. It's a bug.
I know.
Go ahead, sir. You said schools and people? Wait, this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're an athletic director. This is the officials piece. You're working from the school piece. Yours now, if you end up like, are you a single campus AD or a multi-campus AD? Single campus. So if you were to connect to a second, let's say you're also an assigner. If you were to connect to a second organization, this would change from schools and people to organizations and people because it would then become plural and you got multiple. But for ADs, yeah. So thank you for pointing that out. For athletic directors, if you're the athletic director at just one school, this is going to say schools and people rather than organizations and people. Sure. Yeah.
Please enter them like this.
Mhm.
And it doesn't give me that option.
I can show you how to pull all of the email addresses. Now, I'm going to not make a value statement here and just say it is intentional that assigners cannot email ADs under the state-sponsored program. This came from a request from several state associations, including Alabama. Just, hey, if you want to email the ADs, don't do it with our logo attached to it. give them a way to pull the assigners or pull the AD's contact information and allow them to do it through their own email client. Don't do it through the state sponsored program. Correct. Correct. That is intentional. Correct. Again, not making a value statement on that, just how did we get here? And that's how we got here, is we were asked. Yes, and when I get to the game schedule, I'll show you how to do that. Go ahead.
I guess, splitting hairs, you're saying
Yeah.
through the app, is that right? Beacon Ohio High School doesn't want us to do that, but we can email them separately.
They can answer on their own behalf. I'm answering how we got here. It's not that we don't know about it, that it hasn't been requested. When we take it to who we work for, which is the state association, we've heard we don't want the state-sponsored platform to allow assigners to have our logo on it emailing athletic directors. So we've honored that request and given the workaround, which is you can go pull them all from the game schedule and send it to your own email client. It's just not going to have an AHSAA, OHSAA logo, whatever attached to it. I'll get to it in just a second when I get to the game schedule.
What I've done is I've contacted you, athletic director at so-so school, and told you to send a mask to all the other ADs in your conference, and it works.
Okay.
They're glad to do that, and that way there's no one
Yeah.
involved but them and me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they love it.
Again, I don't want to gloss over what you're requesting. I understand it. I know the value of it. Telling you, we serve more than one master, and we have to go with the ones that we have the contracts with. If they feel differently about it, they can speak up and we can make that change. But just explaining to you how we got here. Go ahead. Right.
I think my own is pretty updated. How about Dragonfly? Is it updated?
It will be updated once everything is in final forms. That's the connection that,
It'll all forward and back.
correct.
And it,
My ocean still exists.
For the next year or two, yes.
you'll get a little bit of a bump and a boost in the coach information that you have here as well, headed into the fall, because one of the things that they've requested of us is we put the officials evaluation inside the system. Well, the coaches have to be a part of the system. They have to get their account created. So once they do that, you'll also have not only the athletic director, but you'll have all the coach information inside the system for this upcoming season as well. Right. Yeah. Athletic director, you want to speak on that?
I would hold my coach responsible for that.
Yeah.
Well,
They would be in my office.
telling me that they didn't have access to it and that their ADs were making changes without their knowledge. And we had bus mix-ups and we had JV showing up when varsity was supposed to show up, varsity showing up when JV was supposed to show up. So, JV's 2 officials, varsity's 3 officials. Yeah, that's an issue. So there was just a lot of disconnect and frustration with not being able to have access to it, to see it. There was something on here. Well, that's not us.
Boss man's telling me to roll on, so I'm going to do that. Anything else that you guys want to take a look at from the roster view before we move to the game schedule? Okay, so I'm going to move from the organizations and people, or schools and people, if you're an athletic director, where we got those rosters, down to the game schedules view. We're likely to spend the rest of our time together in the game schedules view. All right. Again, for those of you that have been using this for a year, trying to both introduce it to the new folks and answer other questions. So bear with me as I go through. Across the top, so I'm basically going to kind of move left to right across what are all these buttons, what do I do? First thing I'll show you in the top left-hand corner, you have different views that you can set on your game schedule. I will be honest, most of the time, especially in Ohio, most of the athletic directors, as well as the assigners, clearly operate from this assign tab. Because as athletic directors, you're looking at, what we were just talking about. Do I have officials there? Is everything covered? Have they been paid? So on and so forth. And this assigner view kind of gives you the most comprehensive view of those types of items. Now, if you go to the schedule view itself, let me go pull up so we get these TBDs off the screen. Let me go pull up August. What I just used there, if you didn't go ahead and cover that, I used a custom date range selector. So if you're looking for a particular date range, if you're looking for a particular date itself, if you want this to just show today's schedule. Now, again, obviously I'm logged in and showing the statewide schedule, but if you want to customize the date range, I'm on schedule view. You'll always have this date range filter where you can select kind of preset today, this week, next 2 weeks, this month. Or as I did just a second ago, I can select a custom date range, August 1st through 31st. And I use this to display kind of the different views. So we've got schedule, top left-hand corner has this view. Again, you got team logos and so on and so forth. You got the assign view that is now going to move into what it says. You've got the officiating status. You've got those that have been assigned out, who's assigned out. If it's in green, it's been accepted. If it's in yellow, it is still pending assignment. If it's in red, it's either unassigned or rejected. That I think, again, is relevant to athletic directors because you need to be able to pull up and see for this week, are all my games covered. There is also, if you're making the payments or if you have your bookkeeper or working with your bookkeeper, they likely want to keep their screen always on the pay view. Again, it's just got, it's more, well, is what it says it is, catered to the pay view here. So you got more information around the pay view listed. If you don't like any of those preset options, go to the custom view, and then you can select what you want to see in the columns in your game schedule.
Brendan, can you go over just what those numbers are up top, the accepted, assigned,
Yeah.
unpublished, and unpaid?
Yeah, so in case you didn't hear, for those at home, there is, as you update this game schedule, be it by checking on the date range as I did here. So if I were to go and change this date range from August 1st to 15th, you'll see the schedule update. You'll also see the numbers across the top of the schedule update. From here, what you're seeing is, again, in this date range from August 1st to August 15th, I've got 910 accepted, 110 have been assigned, but are still pending unaccepted. I have one unpublished assignment during that time period. Here are the number of unpaid slots. So those numbers update as you move through and update your schedule to show you exactly the statistics that are listed here. It also allows you to jump to those particular games. If you want to jump to just this one unpublished assignment or the unpaid, so on and so forth, you can use these numbers as it updates to jump directly to and put those games on the screen. Is that what you're asking, Keaton?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, you'll see those update the columns here. So if we wanted to add, the home team here, this continues to kind of update. Again, that's a custom view. I think that's pretty straightforward. So from here,
Saturday to an Excel spreadsheet and did the assigning from there and then went to assignment.
gotcha.
Keep
So-
going now a little bit.
Yeah. So what she just said is that she would take this. So this is a game schedule reporting engine, basically, is the best way to describe that. And you can print a report with any of this information that you would like, as much or as little. It's going to pull it into an Excel or a PDF, relevant to the assigners from a perspective of, hey, give me every Saturday this month, or give me every Saturday, whatever you need to pull that down into a schedule, make all your assignments, and you can come plug it back in if you need to. As an athletic director, this is where you can go and pull contact information for your game workers and any of the key people. You can also from here run your school staff report as an assigner to pull the what we were just talking about, the contact information, and then you can pull that into your email client and blast out the email. You see here, you got some different options. Again, I'm not going to go through them all because you can mix and match. This has been added since last year. So, this was at the request of many of the Ohio folks. One of the things that I will say that's kind of relevant to athletic directors and probably not to assigners is this security report. If you've got big events and you're hosting track or something like that, and you're going to have kind of a pass list or officials coming in and out, this security report is like a PDF report that you can hand out to the gate workers with headshots of who they expect to be able to allow into the facility. Again, if you're running a larger event where you've got several gates open, you want to give that out to your gate workers. I think that's the only one really that needs an explanation. But all of that reporting engine is tucked behind the print button just below we were just talking about the different views of the screen. Yes, sir.
So from a standpoint of paying the official, is there, a form that we generate to have them sign at the event? Is there, once they, accept the assignment?
Yes, sir.
What I'm looking for is, what do I go back and tell my treasurer? What does she need to know in order to pay them through the arbiter system or through the Dragonfly?
If I guess to answer that, I'll show you both methods. It depends on whether you want to pay digitally. So if you want to actually pay through our system, if you don't have a bank account set up for your school yet, you need to come into the finance tab and set your bank account up. Once you have your account set up and the money there, all you have to do is basically go to the pay column, click it, and then hit pay. Several different ways to get there. Now, I know there are schools that don't do any of the digital payment stuff, don't want to, can't, don't have board approval, whatever the case might be. In that instance, we provide a payment voucher to do what you just described there. So I clicked on the game. Now, if I can, let me take a circuitous route to answering your question to get some instruction in here as well. What I did to get this tab to slide out, this is my full game schedule. If I want to check on the details of any of the games here, I click on it anywhere in the row and it pulls out this slider tab. Again, for those that were here last year, I'm going to take this opportunity. This is kind of a design element to be accustomed to inside our software. Click on something, you get an additional tab that slides out from the top or the bottom or from the left or the right. And then that additional tab is also tabbed out across the top. So now I'm looking at this game that I clicked on for Thursday, August 1st at 6:30 p.m. between Southeast Local Schools and Fairless Local Schools. I've got all the game details in this tab. The next to be officials and workers. I promise I'm going back to these, but to get to the answer, under the documents on this particular game, I can go create a number of different documents, one of those being the payment voucher. And then, you can just select do I want my payment voucher for my officials, for my game workers, or do I want both of them on the same particular? So this is a kind of a preset. We'll fill in the names, we'll fill in, the information, we'll fill in what they're getting paid. And if you need to have them sign when they get there, it's a pre-populated form for you. Let me go back through that again for those that might be watching the recording later or not in the room that can follow along as easily. Once I want to click on or into any particular contest and work on that contest in any particular fashion, find it in the game schedule, click on it, it opens up that slider menu, and you see the tabs across the top. I can work on my game details. I can work through my officials and workers. Again, athletic directors, you're going to spend a fair amount of time in each one of these tabs. For the for the assigners, you're going to spend more of your time in the officials and workers. This is where the assignment information happens. The game details, obviously, that's going to be your date, your time, location, making changes to the home team, the host team. If it's a multi-participant event, this is where you'll type in all the participants. We'll go through how to put a game in, but if you need to make changes to an already assigned game, click on it, open this tab. The next section is the document section. I go to create again from here. If you're an athletic director, this is, if you're a coach, or if you're an athletic director instructing your coaches on where they'll do their officials evaluations, it will also be in the document. So just kind of take that information on what all will be contained in this document section, whatever they have us add. But we'll always take those game documents if it's related to a game and put them inside this documents tab. Click create document and then select which one of those that you would like to select. Again, for the athletic directors listening in, this is where your coaches will also go to do their officials evaluations. Go to the game schedule, they'll click on the particular game that they want to perform the evaluation for. There'll just be a fourth section here that will just say your officials evaluation. It'll pre-populate with the official names, just like that payment voucher did. They'll rate
Instead
them.
of what we do currently on your HSAA website.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they'll be able to do it on mobile as well. So everything I'm showing you here is also available on your phone on the mobile web. So your coaches will be able to do that from mobile. Yes, sir.
As an assigner.
Yes, sir.
Dragonfly is very good in sending out notifications for match cancellations, officials rejecting. Is there any notification or thought of notification to an assigner for matches being added?
Yes, again, we used to have that, and then we were asked by assigners to take it out because y'all are sending me too many notifications. The solution to that is for us to give everybody a customizable list of, here's every notification that we offer. You select what you want to see, so we get out of the trying to predict how do you want it versus how do you want it versus how do you want it. So that is a self-inflicted wound that we have not yet given a solution for. So yes, there's thought to it. Yes, we already know how to solve it. No, we have not had time to put that selector in your hands. Yes, sir.
I just put the game under the game schedule where you have the different views.
Yes, sir.
I don't have the assign tab. Is that something that?
Yeah, we need to get the assigner role added to you. I'm assuming you'll be assigning at least some of your sports. Is that? You'll have to have that tab. Jeff, do you know how to give him that user role? He can give it to himself. Go to his profile, his info. Yeah, so once you get that added, refresh the screen and you'll see the assign tab show up. Go ahead.
I got a question, Brandon. So for ADs, if you just sort it by the sport, are you only gonna see your team schedule?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And so let me answer that from both angles. The question here, if you didn't hear it at home, Keaton asked, hey, if you just sort it by sport. So again, I'm in full OHSAA. I see everything here. But if I were to go and sort this to football, well, now I'm looking at all football games for all levels and all officiating statuses from August 1st to August 15th. If I'm an athletic director or an assigner, maybe I want to just, hey, all games are important. I got to make sure that varsity contests are covered first. So now I went to the level. I'm looking at football, varsity, all officiating statuses. Again, as an athletic director and an assigner, I want to just give me anything during that date range that's a varsity football game that needs my attention. So now I've gone to football, varsity level, any contests that need my attention from August 1st to August 15th. So you've got ways that you can continue again to kind of update and filter this game schedule to look at whatever you want to. As an athletic director, if you're a single campus, it's obviously going to be just your one campus. If you're a district athletic director, you'll have all of your schools connected here where you can do the same thing. Hey, give me only the varsity football contest for my entire district for that date range. Or as an assigner and or athletic director, give me a particular school. If I can spell. So if I wanted to go to Olentangy Berlin, now I'm going to look at only Olentangy Berlin from August 1st to August 15th, varsity football games that need my attention. So again, you can get as granular and specific as you need to, or you can kind of zoom out and show me everything. If you're an athletic director, you're only going to see your school or schools. If you're an assigner, you're only going to see the schools that you're connected to through officiating links. I'm going to pause right there before I go into officiating links to see what questions about the filters, the game schedule, the tabs, the document, anything I've covered in the last 5 to 10 minutes that we're going to ask questions about. Yes, sir.
As an assigner. My group.
Right.
Take that off.
And I can see everybody's. Why?
Because sometimes your fellow assigners need to have things covered. You want to go observe some of your officials or other officials in other places because a statewide schedule is public information and people just want to see it. Many different answers to that. I'll keep trying to.
Is that Ohio High School logic? Because that's totally contradictory to what they've done in the past.
But you can't see the game details on other games that are not yours. Please find me an example. Please do. Yeah, please do. You can see that the games are happening. You can't see who they're assigned to unless you have permissions that you shouldn't have. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Other than that official, when I sign in West Virginia, go in and block it. Is there any way I can show that he's talking about, because I got coaches call me the last minute. I got so-and-so scheduled, they had got hold of me. I can't get a hold of him, is he coming or not? I tell him, well, he's already scheduled, you can match in West Virginia. And it doesn't translate over.
Yeah, with those being in different software, I don't really have a good solution for it. I don't think it will surprise you to say there's not likely to be an integration between us and Arbiter anytime soon. So we're not going to share those schedules. Yeah, I mean, it's obviously easier to have the officials do it on their end. They know their games. Sure. Yeah. Is your preference to have them provide you with their full schedule and you go do that for every one of your officials? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it's sometimes like being your head against.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sort of a three-part question.
Okay.
Back to the payment, and you mentioned the bank for money available.
Yes, sir.
How does that work? Would be the first part of that question. The second part is, aside from the official signing and turning that form into the treasurer, there's really no connection from the treasurer to Dragonfly to say that they were paid at that point.
No.
So they would have to do that.
Yeah, if you're paying outside the system, I've said this before, I don't mind saying we intentionally don't make it easy for you to track what's been paid and what's not. I think if you're a new AD, you haven't heard this spiel. Again, if you're a returning AD or an assigner, just zone out for a couple minutes when I say, hey, our revenue model is to run transactions through our platform. So we're going to give you the payment voucher, but we're not going to make it easy for you to pay outside of our system. So unless you pay inside our system, you don't have any way to track what's been paid and what hasn't, unless you're doing it, outside. Now, for those that couldn't hear at home, the question was, you mentioned the bank. How do we get that set up? So the second half of that question was, can we mark anything as paid if we're paying outside the system? Not currently. Maybe we change that in the future, but for now, no. Where do I go and set my bank account up? What does that look like? And this would be for any of the assigners that do outside rec league, anything that you might be paying out of your association. We're in the organization's fund, so I'll move from the game schedule to the organization funds. Manage accounts is where you manage your account. So we go to add new account. It's going to ask you, what are you adding? Bank account, credit card, cash account. So I can get into the minutia with you in a financial specific demo if you want me to explain how the system works. You'll link a bank account if you're familiar with PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Apple, basically anything where you had to go and link your bank account to an external vendor of any sort. Our system works just like that. You'll type in the numbers. We'll send you some micro deposits to that account that you'll come back here and verify. That will verify, all right, this person actually has access to the account that they say that they do. From that point, we don't touch your bank account ever again. You move money from your bank account via ACH onto our platform or transfer it back off of our platform, but we're never touching your bank account directly. So you'd have to connect your bank account, move money onto the platform, then pay your officials and game workers.
Brandon, I'm gonna give,
Go ahead.
as a former AD, a shameless plug. Once we went to this, if I had gone back, my bookkeeper would have quit.
Yeah.
I mean, because she didn't have to take up tax documentation, she didn't have to send out tax documentation, she wasn't writing checks. Once she went to that cashless and started moving it digitally, if I'd ever gone back and said, hey, we're getting out of Dragonfly, we're gonna go back to the old way, she would quit on me.
Again, that's.
And that's sort of where I'm at, because, you try, do you try to sell the platform and that aspect when you're still writing checks? And that's a tough sell, any change obviously is.
Yeah.
So, as far as, I just want to try to get as much information as possible. The last fraction of that question I
Yes, sir.
had was, if I had an event, track and wrestling, that our assigner doesn't assign.
Yes, sir.
And I needed to create the form. How do I do that?
Which form?
Well, the payment voucher.
The payment, gotcha. If I can continue my answer from your first question before I move to that one. So there is one, I would love to be able to make the sales pitch to your bookkeeper, your treasurer, your CFO, whomever. So let us handle that portion of it if we can. But again, there's a financial specific demo that you can sign up for. So go back and show you that. If you're on the fence and you're getting we don't really want to connect a bank account. We've never heard of Dragonfly. We don't trust, you're going to get some of that. Or our board doesn't allow us to connect a bank account to any external vendor. That we've run into that. You can mail a check, funding checks to us, and we will seed your account without you connecting your bank account. So that option is here as well. What Jeff mentioned, thank you, Jeff, for bringing that up, that we do have the W-9 form if you need to set us up as a vendor inside this Manage Accounts tab. And one of the most important things I think is a selling point is we then handle all the 1099 tax documentation as a part of you paying through our system. So that all comes as a part of what do you get? What's the, what benefits us from paying through the system? That's one of the bigger benefits is then we handle all the 1099 tax documentation. Yes, sir. You don't, for each transfer as an official, nothing. It's free. So when the athletic directors, when the state, when your rec leagues, whoever makes the payment, it's $1.50 per official per date. That's how we make our money. What's that?
That's per instead of event like it used to be.
It's for us, it's never been per event.
Yeah. We used to have per event.
Gotcha.
Same that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's per day.
It's per official per day. Yes. Yeah. But that's per day, to get a full clear per date worked, so it's, if you, the best example is you show up to a volleyball tournament that's about to start, official works 10 contests that day. It's going to cost you $1.50 to pay that particular. If you got 3 officials there, then it's going to cost you what, $4.50 to pay those 3 officials. Doesn't matter if they work 1 contest or 100 contests over the course of that day. It's going to cost you $4.50, $1.50 per official per day.
Go ahead and answer Ron's question and let's get into the signings.
Okay. Go ahead, Ron.
Double down on what Jim asked.
Yep.
If you go to key people on a match that you're not the assigner on, those officials show up.
Okay. Is that, you don't want that?
Well, I guess that's the question is, should we have that visibility if we're not the assigner of that game?
Athletic directors, OHSAA.
But with Bo not being here, we can't really give them.
No, I'm just,
yeah.
you mentioned that it's not visible, and I just want you to know.
You can't make changes to, you don't have any rights over it. So
Right.
I think the assigners very clearly have an opinion. I think you guys just need to get it out. Let us hear what you want it to be. Go ahead.
Leave it be.
Okay.
Disagree.
I disagree too.
Who I assign is who I assign, and that doesn't matter who Bill assigns or anybody else. That's your approval, that's your responsibility, because I hate to say this, there's too many people that'll go and play a game and say, hey, you're working for so-and-so this day, how about come and work for me?
Well, no disrespect, and I appreciate you bringing it up, but that's not a Dragonfly issue. That's something that we'll take back to Bill. Okay, I hear you. I'll think about it.
They're trying to steal your official, he's trying to say, that's happened in the past.
But like Amanda said, that's not a Dragonfly issue. That's outside.
Human issue.
That's outside, but it'll be addressed. All right, let's go now.
Okay. You had one more question on the, it will- I think that'll be a good segue into, Keaton's asked now kind of segue into more of the assigner specific stuff. So do you have assigner privileges already that you can follow along here, or?
Well, no,
Okay, let's get you,
not currently. That's.
we'll get you linked up with that. So how do I even assign a contest? Again, find the contest that I want to assign. Click on it. I'm in the officials and workers tab. So for your track events, your wrestling events, the ones that you may not have an assigner for, find the event, click on officials and workers. Let me see who I'm gonna have to apologize here. So
Charles.
Charles.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Charles.
There he is. All right. If you have particular, I know for many of you, like for track, you're going to have a small pool of officials that you're going to work from and assign from. Again, I'm talking to the athletic directors. Specifically here, the assigning buttons are the same. If you're looking for a particular individual, type their name in. So in this one, I was looking for Charles. I have the referee position selected. I'm going to assign Charles as the referee. Again, speaking to both assigners and athletic directors here, at this point, Charles has no idea that this game has been assigned to him. It's unpublished. So this is pretty straightforward to assigners. I answered this question a lot for athletic directors this past year. Hey, I've assigned Charles and he's saying he doesn't see it. They will not see it until this is published. So I'm going to go one step at a time. Opened up the game that I wanted to assign. I went to the officials and workers tab. Over here, I found the position that I wanted to assign. I found the official that I wanted to assign to it. And then I clicked this assign button. So it'll move to the next position. As I'm going through, let's assign another Charles. Here, I promise I'll delete these back out. Again, the officials don't yet know that they've received this assignment. It's still unpublished. So again, for those of you that will be assigning your own events as an athletic director, when you are ready to assign this contest, like other places, click the actions button. That's the 3 dots. You can publish assignments one at a time. I think probably most of you assigners in the room are not going to take the time to publish one at a time. You're going to get a week or two or a month even together, and then you can go and multi-select all the ones that you want to publish at the same time, and then hit this actions button. You see there's a bunch of different actions, so we're going to come back to this. But from here, you can publish your pending assignments. You go and delete these 2 assignments.
Quick question on that.
Yes, sir.
On that list of officials,
Yes, sir.
third line under their profile name, what does that indicate?
Where you've got the 0 dash dash.
Yeah.
It's obviously has just reset. But what will fill in here as you move through the season is your total game counts. It'll fill in what their last, what school they were at last, what their next upcoming school is.
So it's game count and where they were last.
Where their last assignment was, where their upcoming assignment is. Not to sort it. You can filter it by first name, as I did with Charles. So I can filter to show. So I just hit, typed in Charles, and of course I'm looking at all of Ohio here, so it's going to bring up every Charles. And that check or the search box is at the top. And if I can again take a kind of circuitous route to answer your question, So if you know you're looking for Charles Anderson, come here and type that name in and hit enter. That's going to pull up that particular individual. Once I click in that box, I can also just type Charles or C or Anders, because I can't remember if it's Anders or Anderson. And I can search. Yeah. And so type as close as you can get to it, because it's going to match. Again, if you type Charles, we're going to pull back Charlie. You know, that type of thing that's a close match to it. Anderson's going to pull up anything that's close to that. You also, once you select this box, have other filters that you can apply to this search. So I can come to this, again, athletic directors, assigners, doesn't matter. I want to look at everyone who is available within a 25-mile radius of the contest. And so now I've got all the names that were there before limited to just those that are within 25 miles of that contest. Yes, sir.
But with that being said, we're still only able to see them in alphabetical order.
For a little while longer. Yes. That means they have put that as one of their top priorities, and we're working on it right now to allow you not to just sort this list, but to then not to just filter this list, but then sort this list. So you'll be able to put in, give me all officials within 25 miles, and then sort them closest to farthest. Right now, all you can do is, hey, give me a pool of officials within 25 miles in alphabetical order. Does that make sense? Because you want to then take this list and say, great, but this official that's 5 miles away, I've got 12 officials that are closer than that. Show me all the ones that are closer than 5 miles to get there. You can do that already. Again, it's a filter though, not a sort. So you can come in and filter by the class already. And if you've got your local ranks or your local position and things like that, you can already use those filters in combination with one another. So you can all folks named Charles within 50 miles that are class 1 that are, wing position. Questions on that before I move forward? From the athletic director's perspective, those of you that are not quite as steeped in the assigning part, does that make sense? Ish. Go ahead.
Matt Kleiner asked this, the use of crews, is that available on Dragonfly?
No. For those, you probably didn't, those that are in the room or that are online that didn't hear, is the use of crews available in Dragonfly? No, not at this point. Did I get mostly in agreement with the athletic directors, that assignment stuff? Enough that you can at least play around with it, figure it out? Okay. Other things that you see here, again, we've got listed. So it was asked, what are those digits across the bottom? Game counts, last contest, upcoming contest. You got a name, obviously, as I mentioned, basically anywhere where you see a name in the system, click on it, and we're right back to looking at, Randy's details, Randy's game counts, Randy's blocks. We can copy the phone numbers. We can copy email addresses. I just got to that by clicking on the name. You also see other notes here. Let me, again, for those that may be trying to watch on a phone or something, let me zoom in a little bit. You can see by some of these individuals, they got incomplete requirements, or you got a note that says blocking event at this time. So you can go to Nick and see, hey, we got a schedule block unavailable from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. from July 8th through December 8th. All sports. So Nick does not want to officiate this semester. Now, one of the philosophies of the system is assigners can decide, I need to get the game covered. Nick, I need you to cover this game anyway. So you can call Nick and say, hey, I'm going to put you on this game because I'm going to have to cancel it if I don't. So you, as an assigner, again, with the athletic director having the assigner role, you can assign through those blocks. But as a general philosophy in our system, we don't have hard blocks for the assigners at all. If you know better, assign over it. Period. You guys can argue with your officials over that if you want to. But again, you hit circumstances where you can no longer ask permission on things and you just got to get it done. And you deal with the fallout from it. So again, in general, you can assign over any block, any incomplete requirement, anything like that. We go a step further into something that Keaton actually helped us implement back this past year. For these folks that you see an incomplete requirement on, Keaton, feel free to step in at any point during this. You can go ahead and assign them, and then 14 days out, is that right?
Yeah.
But the OHSAA has put into the system, assign them right now for next year if you want to. If they get 14 days from that particular contest date and they haven't completed their eligibility requirements, the system's going to kick them off that game. It'll send you as an assigner a recap. Hey, we kicked these 4 officials off these contests for these reasons. But if you get 14 days out, again, that's just kind of changes that discretion of the OHSAA. So Keaton, if you want to say anything about that, go ahead.
14 days, the officiating department, we thought was ample enough time for if the official didn't even know, especially last year with the transition, if the official didn't know they weren't eligible, give them enough time to fix their account, make sure everything's good. Same thing here. If they're ineligible because they haven't filled out their concussion form, they have 14 days is more than enough time. It takes 14 minutes to fix that stuff. So 14 days has kind of been our universal timeline for those ineligible officials.
Questions on that? I don't want to blow past it because it did, once that was turned on this past year, some of the assigners were affected by that.
Hey, one thing that kind of came up last night that would be important for assigners. You guys talked about a little bit of an extension based because of what's going on registration.
Correct. Yes. The extension is only for fall sports. Just with transition of renewals and registration for officials, some people are still late to the contest on even knowing that registration is on Dragonfly. So we've extended the fall regular window and late window. We're looking at somewhere around July 22nd, July 23rd, around there to be our hard deadline, our cutoff. The latest we'll go is July 31st for fall sport registration.
If you have someone assigned, that could affect what's going on with that 14, that could kick the 14 days in after that, or.
Yeah, if I'm ineligible and I have a game assigned to me on July 25th, if I'm ineligible right now, I'm getting kicked off, but I can go in and fix it real quick and I'll be good.
Are you going to remove the late registration indicator on their profile? It still says they owe $50, because right now it does.
Yeah.
What's
the entire registration will be closed.
Yeah.
So it's just like any other year.
Well, I got one in our association that paid late, but he's still showing red.
Have him email me. But I'll take a look, see what he thinks.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to make sure I understand. They are being charged the late fee or they are not?
If they had no knowledge of Dragonfly stuff, we have been lenient. As I said last night, we're being lenient. We're helping them out. But if there are people who are fully knowing that registration was on Dragonfly, didn't bother to do anything until July, it's hard to be lenient there.
Trouble?
Yep.
Okay. I'll use some things that are available here on the screen. Well, let me go to official notes here. It's a free text box for assigners and or athletic directors. So if you want to communicate anything to the crew that you've assigned here, type it into this box. They'll see it on their phone in the notes portion of it. So if you need to communicate something to the officials that are coming to your place, type it there. When they go to accept their game in the notes section, they'll see it. Assigners, if you need to communicate with your officials on something around this contest, you can type it there in the notes section. Just above that, you can see that we can, on any particular given contest, decide that for this one contest, I want to turn back the officials after blank number of days. That means for assigners, I want it to sit out there for 3 days. And if you haven't responded to it by then, I want it turned back to me because I got to get somebody else on that contest. You can do that individually on a contest, or you can alter that on a contest, or in your settings, again, the gear menu in the top right-hand corner, turn back policies. You can go and create your own policy that matches for different levels of contests, for different schools, for different positions. Even as athletic directors, if you're signing out and you want to say, hey, I'm gonna give you 5 days to respond to it. If you haven't, I wanted to let me know and turn it back off that game. But you can set, again, 1, how many days until it automatically turns back? And 2, is it a hard conflict type or a soft conflict? The difference there is in one of those, in a soft contest, you're going to get a note on them that just says, game rejected on this particular date. And I guess you can click on that information, but it'll also tell you what this is. So there's a difference in, do we allow them to still show up in your available officials, or do we move them into blocked? If you select, I want them rejected and a hard block, it's going to push them over into where you have to say, show me blocked officials to see them again. If you leave them as a soft conflict type, it'll leave them in your available officials, but with a note that says either they've turned back a game on this day, or if you're looking at the particular game that they turned back, it'll tell you they turned back this game on this day. I stammered through that, so let me get your questions on what didn't make sense on that. Okay. While we're here in the settings, other items here, position settings. So again, this is new from the fall and winter officials. This was rolled out during the spring. By default, every single sport, every single competition level for everything throughout the entire state of Ohio, we've gone in and set up, don't ever leave blank position names on a particular contest. But again, we set for everybody in Ohio. If you do not like those, if you want them called something different, if you need one particular school because they've requested to pay 10 football officials for every contest and you're going to send a crew of 10 over there, you can set all of your own position settings for any of the schools as an assigner that you have the purview over as an athletic director that you want for your particular contest. You have complete full reign over your position settings to come in and add for the Chillicothe Volleyball Officials Association what you want them to call and how many default positions you want for any given competition level. So you can go from the defaults there, the varsity and non-varsity. You can also just add a complete new setting altogether. Yes, sir. Okay. So if you want to do it on one particular contest, or if you've got a default and you say, but hey, for this contest, I want to change it, you can turn back the official. Oh, so that's in the gear menu. Yes, sir. So if you click that, you got position settings, fee policies, document policies, turn back, officiating limits and links. You're welcome. Again, we've got some default stuff set there. If you want to basically start from scratch, go add group in the bottom left-hand corner, and you can name this particular group of positions, what levels it applies to, what contest type, and that's going to be, your scrimmage versus your regular season versus your postseason. You got some different settings on that, and then you can just name, hey, we want to use these, or I want to call everyone a new official. Now I can apply that. That also works, again, for athletic directors, if you want your official workers. So if for every single football contest, you want 3 people on tickets and 2 people on the gate, you can go in and add those, the default, so you don't have to go individually to each contest. Again, back in the settings icon, we've talked about the turn back policies. Fee policies. This is very similar to the position settings. If we were to add a game policy, select the organization that it applies to, which sport, give it a name. The one thing that I will say here, and I think this is just getting accustomed to a new system. Assigner or athletic director, when you set up a fee policy, it must match exactly to the position settings that you're trying to get that fee to apply to. What I mean by that is if you've got R1, R2, R3, something like that set in your fee policy, but the position name says referee, 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 that's not going to automatically apply the fee policy. It has to match precisely. So if you're looking at it going, why do none of my games have the fees attached to them? That's likely the first place to start. So again, if I were to come here, I can select from the position selector that we already have, but the first thing to select is to make sure when you add these positions in that you match the position name and abbreviation exactly to what's in your fee policy. And at that point, you should not have to enter or deal with any game fee policies at all. Go set up your policies, make sure the position names and settings match. Again, that's for game workers on the athletic director side as well. Officiating limits, again, for athletic directors, this probably doesn't apply to you, but this allows, again, kind of in concert with what I was talking about earlier, you got game counts, you got your last contest, you got your next upcoming contest, but you can set, hey, I don't want my officials seeing the same school within a month or within 2 weeks. So you can come in and put that in here and just say, hey, don't allow me to assign them to the same particular school 2 times within a 14-day period. And as you know, likewise, you can set that for the season. Hey, I never want an official to see a particular school or a particular level at a school more than 3 times over the course of a particular season. So that's what these, the officiating settings are. Don't allow them to return to a school within X number of days. Don't allow them to see a particular school more than X number of times over the course of a season.
Hey, Brandon.
Yes, sir.
So what happens?
Mm-hmm.
The games are already assigned, they're just assigned.
It'll back count it'll note it on there if you go and look at it. Like it's not going to unassign.
Right. They
Yeah.
won't, but okay.
But now when you go and look at the next unassigned contest for that school, it's going to count the ones that are already assigned.
Okay.
And then, so Stan Evans asked virtually, is that home and visitors or just the home school?
That's for all participants on the contest. So if it's a multi-participant, it's going to look at every participant in that particular contest. Now, officiating links, and I think this one might be more important for athletic directors. It's important for assigners as well. But to state it clearly, if you're an athletic director, when you log in, basically the first thing you need to do is go and make sure in your officiating links that all of your sports and all your levels are attached to an assigner group. If it's not, make that the first thing that you do, because if you have, like this right here, this would be an example. It doesn't matter for the Chillicothe Volleyball Officials Association. That's a local officials association. If this happens to be local hometown high school that we're looking at here, though, they're not going to have any officials at any of their games because not a single assigner can see their contest. So until you link your sport to your assigner group in officiating links, no assigner can see your games to assign. It can go in either direction. However, it's got to be confirmed by both sides. So you can't go and just add. Yeah. So in the officiating, in that settings, that gear icon, go to officiating links, the very last option. The question there for those that couldn't hear it, the gear icon in the top right-hand corner. Click on it. The question for those listening in at home is, on the officiating links, can only athletic directors do that, or do the assigners have the power to do it? Both sides can initiate that linking process. It must be initiated by one side, confirmed by the other. You'll get an email when they initiate that linking process. You'll get an icon. You see how the pay sheets has a 1 in there, if there was a school in your officiating links and it tried to link with you, it'd have a 1 icon over the settings and then a 1 beside officiating links. And then when you opened it up, beside that school name, it's going to have an unapproved icon in there. Again, probably more of an assigner thing. I think we've kind of been through this. The only my games checkbox, if you select that, it's only going to show your games. If you deselect that checkbox, it opens up to the statewide schedule. That's the one over in the far right-hand corner. Actions menu, again, I'm moving down beneath where we were filtering earlier by schedule, assign, pay. This actions menu, I'm not going to go through every single one of the options here, but this is where you can take bulk actions across your game schedule. One of those, again, is something new that we put in this past year for the folks in Ohio. You can import a game schedule that allows you to download a template, basically type in Excel, drag and drop, those types of things, and you can upload the game schedule rather than typing the games in. You can mask delete games. You can mask link games. You can mask unlinked games. For athletic directors, this is where you can go in and basically but accept if you've gotten contests, like you got all of your track events and you don't want to go to them one at a time and select that contract and accept it, filter the game schedule to track, multi-select them all, and then accept contracts across every single one of them. Again, you guys can read. I don't have to bulk add, bulk remove officials positions, bulk and add remover, worker positions, publish pending assignments, unpublished pending assignments, pay multiple games at a time, update game fee policies across multiple games, update the travel policy, update turn back policy. And the last one, I think, is one that is occasionally relevant. So let me show it, and it will be important to, I think, assigners and ADs, because sometimes you guys get into a little bit of an argument about who changed this game and when. Yeah. So select the game that you have a question about and select show history, and it's going to tell you, well, here's what happened. I set the facility on it. Brandon, Ohio changed the facility on it. Kevin Ford deleted it. Select the checkbox beside it, then hit the actions menu and show history at the very last option in that actions menu. Yes, sir.
Let's talk about link games for just a second. I'm a volleyball assigner, so it's great when you're linking JV and varsity and you don't have to put the officials on both sides. However, almost all of my schools play the freshman match at the same time that the JV match is playing. Then they come around and they line judge, okay, the varsity match. So there are 4 slots on the varsity match, 2 refs, 2 line judges. But if the JV and varsity are still linked, when you add the freshman officials to the varsity, it adds the extra slots to the JV match. So now all of a sudden, I've assigned the freshman officials to the varsity, fine, but they've also now been assigned to the JV with 2 new slots added.
How recently have you seen that?
Excuse me?
How recently have you seen that?
Oh, it happens all the time. If I leave them linked.
Sports that happen to us.
If I leave them linked.
We address the reason I ask is we addressed something with this. It was brought to our attention sometime back during the spring. I'm asking, is this, you saw it yesterday or?
Yeah.
For every match I was assigned.
You saw it last season? Okay, for this, that's what I was asking. So I just need a couple examples of those. And
so I just have to remember, because then they get in touch and say, well, I can't accept the varsity match because the JV match is also assigned. So I just have to remember to unlink the 2, at least now, unless there's a worker.
Yeah, well, I need to look at it. So I off the cuff, that's one of those I need to sit and think about. And likely the answer is give everybody the option on every single one of them. And I say that not as a cop-out, but because I've heard from colleagues in Ohio, I don't want to have to go add all the positions. If I link the games, I want everybody assigned to each of the contests. There's a way for us to get out of it. I just need to understand both sides, before we propose a solution. Thank you. Yeah. Let me, at this point, we got people slipping out of the room, leaving. I'm going to hang around. I think if you guys got to go, go ahead. Let me say for those that need to leave but have an urgent, pressing question, either type it in the chat or let's go ahead and have it right now. Go ahead, Ron.
Just two small things. The ability to delete games without reactivating the game. Is that something that can be brought up down the road, or a game that's canceled, we can't delete the actual game without reactivating that game, and then you have to delete.
Yeah, that it now, again, I know for you guys, you're like, why are you wasting my time doing that? It's intentional that we do that. And the reason being, we've got that history. We can see that the AD canceled it 15 minutes before the official showed up. We don't want that game getting deleted off the game schedule and them going, oh, sorry, I don't know why you sent officials here, Ron. We're not paying them. So it's intentionally left there. So we've got a record of AD at the school canceled the contest when my officials were standing in the locker room and then told them to go kick rocks. And we got it all right here. If we delete it off the game schedule, you don't then have a way to say, all right, let me just look at the history of when this was canceled. So it is us trying to leave information there. It is a nuisance when you're trying to delete it. I do acknowledge that. And open for better solutions to don't allow the officials to get stiff. Not that any athletic director in Ohio would do that, but don't allow the officials to get stiff. Leave the record of it there without, because once it's gone, it's gone. You can't go back and check the history. So that is not there's not a better way to do it. That's what we're intending to do with go reactivate the game, which, as you know, sets off alarm bells.
Sure.
To everybody. Again, that's all intentional to make sure. We started in Alabama. They had athletic directors that were doing just this. They'd go in and delete the game and say, no, we're not paying officials. We never even had that on the schedule. What are you talking about, Ron? So
Hold on, Jim. Hold on.
Go ahead. Yeah.
This has been asked twice. Is there a way to put in the bus time for away trips? I'm assuming it's more AD based. But they've asked it twice.
Yeah, I mean, unless you want to put it in the notes section on there, but it's not tied to anything. So, I mean, that is just basically an open text field that we can add if you want us to. That'll, I will, again, not as a cop out, but I'm going to lean on the OHSAA to kind of tell us yay or nay and when to do that.
And then the second question was, if you go to a tournament and then you exit out of that tournament, well, let's just start, there's two things. If you go to a tournament, there's 10 games, and you delete, just for example, in volleyball, I would delete all the positions for the games below because officials usually are going to work all those games. They're not coming in for one game and then leaving part of the tournament.
Okay.
So is there ability to see that tournament has been assigned on the home screen versus deep diving into the actual tournament?
And show game schedule.
Yeah, I know what I'd have to go back and check myself. What I know you can do is assign the tournament as opposed to clicking into and assigning every individual game. So
Go into each individual game in the tournament and click on the show on main screen.
you can do that. You can do that, which will show it on the main screen. However, it sounds like, Ron, what you're wanting to do is say, I want to send 20 guys over there and have them there for the day, and I don't want to have to send them. Am I right in what you're asking to do there?
No, I think what Mike said might have answered my question. I didn't know that was an option. Where, like, Greg, is that a tournament there?
Yeah, let me answer what I was going to answer, then go on and show you what Mike was
So you
saying.
have 3 unassigned, but let's say hypothetically, I have those 3 assigned. So
If you don't click on the link to go into the tournament. If you click on the row beside it, you can then just assign varsity girl, this entire super scrimmage one time, assign the tournament and be done with it. And you can pay at the tournament level. Now, as Mike was saying there, also, if you go in to any of the individual contests, you do have the ability to select to show this on the main schedule. right here. So if I select that, now all of my tournament games will show up without having to click into it. And you'll be able to see the assignment status.
And if you exit out of this,
The tournament completely?
yeah. And let's say hypothetically, you had July first to October first. And you exit out of this, it would take you automatically back to July first. Instead of leaving you on the date that you're on.
So it removes your date filter?
Stays back in the beginning.
No, it doesn't remove the date filter, but it removes, so let's say that tournament's on August 15th
Right.
and you're on August 15th.
Oh, okay. So I see if you've got 3 months there,
Yeah.
but you've gotten halfway into that 3 months, it takes you back to the very first day of the filter rather
That's
than.
correct.
Got it. Okay. That's an easily fixable issue.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think what was a little confusing last year on the right side on the tournament where it says unassigned 3.
Mm-hmm.
That shows in your unassigned count. Even if you go into the tournament and assign each individual match, you still have 3 unassigned slots
For the tournament itself.
that show up on the count. So it was a little misleading. Wait a minute, where are my 3 missing slots? I don't
Gotcha.
have any matches unassigned. So whether or not it's more work that I'm doing, I remove that altogether.
Gotcha.
Although I know it's a very easy way to assign the entire tournament. And then my count actually is my count.
Gotcha. Again, one of those that off the cuff, there is a solution there. I don't know what to propose to you at this point without sitting and thinking about it. So any of this type of stuff, I read every single email that's sent to me with every single suggestion. So, some of them I immediately delete, as you guys do but most of them go into a folder of product suggestions that we have a weekly meeting with Keaton and his staff and hey, here's what we got, here's what we heard, what have you guys heard? There is a list that we're working from, just to go ahead and before we wrap up here, address, we haven't done everything you guys have asked us to do. Across an infinite timeline, we will, but we do have to prioritize those things. And, again, I'm going to speak from an offensive Dragonfly standpoint. We're getting athletic director request, OHSAA request, officials request, assigners request, treasurer's request, Laura Vermilia, CFO request. If you've not ever crossed Laura, you don't want to. You make sure that her request get pushed to the top if it's money related. But all that to say, we hear the issues. I hope that you've seen progress over the last year. We will continue to make progress at basically that same rate. It's slower than I want it to be, and I know it's a heck of a lot slower than you guys want it to be, but we are listening. We are, at least attempting to improve, even if it is not at the correct pace or at a fast enough pace. Did you have other questions over there? Not really. I think most of the assigners are returning, so not that your, suggestions, most of you just don't need anything as dire as the new athletic directors who are about to, jump into the fire. So athletic directors, anything from your specific standpoint, viewpoint that you guys know that, hey, I came here to learn this and I don't have any idea what's going on. No? Okay. Like to hear that. If you're about to drop off, I know we're getting towards the end of our time. Brandon at Dragonfly Athletics, Eamon at Dragonfly Athletics, Jeff at Dragonfly Athletics. If it is a feature suggestion, I would ask that you copy, I don't know, Keaton, do you want those coming just to you? Do you want anybody else on the officiating staff? Copy Keaton on that. He is, and again, don't jump on Keaton. He is attempting to take all the feedback from everyone in Ohio and keep a curated list of, all right, how are we going to move through all of these, feature requests? So he's trying to take our development process and learn it and filter everyone's needs and when they're going to happen and when is volleyball going to need this and when is track going to need this. He's trying to do something with that list of suggestions as well. So So please copy him on it so he and I can have a conversation of how to prioritize those things. You want to combine like what you do as an official with the same, you want to be in one account or? Okay. 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 Who's they?
I don't know.
Okay.
So when I set up my assigning email, none of it was going there. Now everything's getting dumped in my email and I'm losing everything.
Okay.
It's just getting dumped in my regular email and I can't find it.
Gotcha.
Because there's so many emails. So what I want to do is create a brand new email that is not only for my lacrosse, but also for my soccer, that all of my officiating and assignment goes to that email. That's the only thing that's in there.
We have what I think is a lot of flexibility to, to cater to each person in that type of scenario. If you'll send me an email of what you'd like to accomplish, I will help you get that sorted out to either put it all together, separate it out, allow me to log in with this, but get all of my notifications to this email. Like we've got lots of flexibility on changing usernames, bringing accounts together, separating accounts. Okay.
Would I just go in and change my
That's only, you can only change your contact email address inside there. If you need a username change, or if
Yeah.
you want to say, hey, set up new assigning at gmail.com, we will go in because we'll have to make sure, unless you want to do it, you're going to want all your officiating links moved over. You want all your officials.
Send you all an email saying this is what
Just lay out what you want, and then we'll help you get that set up.
Thanks.
So again, for those that maybe couldn't hear that are listening in at home, if you have basically a username email scenario that you don't like, we can put everything in one. We can separate it out into 4. We can have you log in with one email address and get notification on 2 others. If you basically send us an email of what you would like to accomplish with your usernames and your email addresses, and we'll help you get it set up in that particular way.
Any specific?
Then you can send it to Brandon at Dragonfly Athletics, Amy at Dragonfly Athletics, Jeff at Dragonfly Athletics. Put support on there if you want to. We've got probably 12, 14 team members that any one of us might be involved in setting that up. So. Anything pressing that I have not covered? Again, we're going to hang out for a few minutes. If you got questions that you don't want to ask in front of the group, or you think it's specific to, your particular scenario, we'll be hanging out for a few minutes. Jeff doesn't fly out until in the morning, so he's here all night long if we needed to stay here. For those of you that don't want to talk about Dragonfly anymore, thank you for your time and attention tonight. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for suggestions, being patient with us as we try to get better. We do appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.